Hey, what's up, bro? So this is Leo with YieldMax and brought to you by popular demand. You guys have been asking for weekly dividend estimates for YieldMax Weekly funds. I have finally finished doing the backend to produce an algo estimate for all the weekly funds, not just YMAX and YMAG. And with that said, I'm gonna leave this table here for the Group B estimates that I did earlier in the week, like on Sunday. And as I'm talking, you can sort of review these numbers, the estimates, the yields, and all of that good stuff. So now the estimates include ALGO version 2.0, and that comes with a rolling P&L or rolling profit and loss per share for each of these funds. So if the fund has lost a lot of money in the previous few months, but then they made a lot of money in this current cycle, what YieldMax has been doing is they've been sandbagging the dividend. So for example, tsly, they had $2.16 loss year to date, and what happened last week? They made $1.53 per share, but they only paid 40 cents, so that's like 20%, 26% of what they earned. But it seems to me that they've been sandbagging as of late on most of their funds just to kind of recoup the losses they incurred in the beginning of the year due to Trump tariffs and all of that good stuff. Okay, so bro, once again, please smash like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification to get the message when the video is released. I would love to get this video to like 300 likes. That would be awesome. Second, bro, this is not financial advice. I just built this system so I can track my funds, but there was a lot of interest, so I made it public. And since we launched it a couple of weeks ago, we've been running a promotion, so that's still live until end of 4th of July weekend, so until July 6th or 7th, 25% lifetime discount. So at the end of the video, there's going to be like a big promo code thing, and also there's a link in the description if you want to try it, 7 days free trial. If you don't like it, just cancel, no hard feelings. All right, with that, like I said, I have completely finished the system for the weekly estimate, so let's begin with YMAX. Okay, so they have made about 15 cents per share, and here is the dividend estimate. Now, our estimates have been very accurate for YMAX. As you can see here, variance is about 1%. So the first 5 weeks of this past 10 cycles, they were a little bit short, but the last couple of cycles they were a little bit over, but about 1.5% on average. So this is pretty accurate. I think they'll pay about 14.5 cents this cycle, because what they do is they basically, right here I'll show you, they hold these funds, basically all the group funds of YieldMax, excluding the short ones. So there's no crash, there's no dips in here, just the regular cover call funds. So they hold all of them, and what happens once they collect dividends for the funds, they pay them out. And so last group was, again, if we go over here, this was tsly, TSMY, YBit, GUI, ORC, SNOI, Zoma, and they didn't pay for crash. Okay, so because crash is a short of tsly, so that's not included in YMAX. Okay, and basically we sum it up, and that's how we come up with this estimate. And also we do blended IV for all the underlyings of all of these funds. So for example, Abney is trading covered calls on Airbnb, and so it has an IV, and we just kind of merge them because they have equal allocation to each fund. And so this is the merged IV for all the funds in the YMAX family. Okay, so IV estimate would be 10 cents, but they actually received about 14.5 cent dividend, so that's what they're going to pay out. Now this is rounded up, this 15 cents, that's rounded up. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Okay, and we can see over here their shares count is actually going up nicely. It was kind of really flat throughout the first few months of the year, and then end of May they start, or middle May, they start growing. The dividends have been really nice, bro. Last one was 18 cents, and that was like 65% yield. I think even like 55 to 56% yield is very nice for this fund. It's pretty stable, so I like it. Okay, so let's move on. Next one is YMAG. So same thing. They're holding Mag 7 funds, and you can see them here: AMSI, Apple, Phoebe, GUI, MSFO, nvdy, and tsly. So last cycle, it was GUI and tsly that paid dividends. So they sum them up, and this is how much they've made per share, about 17 cents, just under. But what happens with YMAG? They're all over the place. You can see the variance on here is very large. I'm not sure why this is showing. Did they make the same same payment for 2 cycles? This is crazy. anyway, so the actual dividend is 16.34 cents. That's what's being calculated. So what I was saying is the variance on our estimates versus what they're actually paying is huge. For example, here, the week of June 4th, they actually made only like 6.77 cents, but they paid out about 21 cents. Okay, and the reason for that is over here. See, in the earlier cycles, they were making more money than they were paying out, like 23 cents, but they only paid 9.24 cents, 16 versus 10. But then like 6.5, they made 6.5 and they paid out 10. Over here, it was kind of like even. So the way I see it, because YMAG has only 7 funds in it, there is basically 2 funds, 2 funds, 2 funds, and then 1 fund, MSFO. Let me actually show it to you on our YieldMax page. And by the way, bro, so these estimates here for the current week, you can see on our YieldMax page. Where is that thing? Right here. So the dividend countdown clock, you can see that the estimates right here for all the funds. And the link, you can play with the tracker, you can try it out. Okay, so as you can see here, I marked in orange funds that will be paying in the YMAG family. But if we go group A, it was tsly and GUI. Group C is only MSFO. Okay, and MSFO usually collects or pays very small dividend. They don't have a high yield because Microsoft has low IV or implied volatility. And so if we go back to YMAG, the way I see it, they kind of want to smooth out that, that drop when they make, so this was MSFO, I believe, 6.77 cents. This here, MSFO. And so to smooth it out, they kind of like underpay one week and overpay the other week. And that's why it's a little bit hard to predict their dividend. But I just left the algo as it is, based on what they earned. But what they will pay is, whatever they decide. Overall, I think it kind of balances out at the end of the day. They just like paid out later, or they pay out forward if they didn't make enough money. Like over here, they made 6.7 cents, but they paid 21. All right, so now the big boy ULTY. Okay, there's a lot of love for ULTY lately. Some people are even like considering switching from msty to ULTY. And I want to make a separate video on ULTY. I'm not gonna bash or otherwise like say negative or positive things about it. But as you can see, they didn't make any money this week. But the algo says they will pay about 8.5 to 11 cents, and I would say like 9.5. That's what they've been paying recently. If you look at their dividend, wow, bro, look at this growth. Look at that growth. Wow. So basically in 1 week, from 69 million to 81, that's almost 15%. Wow, there is a lot of interest in ULTY. Like I said, people are switching. A lot of people liking this fund. Anyway, lately they've been paying in the range of like 10 cents. Over here they paid 11 cents, almost 12, but that's been declining slowly. And the reason for that, here's the thing. Look at their rolling P&L. And I tried to actually tell some people on Reddit, but they called me an idiot and basically said that I don't understand anything. I don't know the numbers. But here are the numbers, bro. Numbers don't lie. They've made 3.8 cents this whole year, and they paid out, by my calculation, about $2.50 year to date. And so, like, look at the latest cycles. Here, June 16 cycle, they are down 5, almost 6 cents. Last cycle, this coming up cycle, they're up half a cent. Here they lost 2 cents. Here they made 0.1 cent, and then like a big streak of losses. Here they made a lot of money, but here they lost 17 cents. And so overall, and I will do that in my next video about ULTY specifically, but I'm not really sure like where the money comes from, other than the NAV. And so the NAV is really weird. Well, not weird, but like interesting. So they have shares and calls and puts. Like they buy puts on. So this put on APLD, and this is the trade from Monday. Okay, I don't know why is there no trades from yesterday. Did they not do any trade? I think they did. I gotta look at my database. Why it's showing, or rather Friday 6/13 was. Oh, when was 6/13? Few days ago. For today's the 17th. It's gotta be Friday. Anyway, so I gotta look why it's showing. But basically, like they have puts, they buy puts, they sell calls, and APLD, these puts, they will likely lose money on them, because APLD, I believe, is like $11 right now. I don't think it's gonna drop to 9.50 or 10. So most likely these puts will lose money. AppLovin, I have no idea where. Like, so yeah, they sell covered calls on AppLovin, and today market is down, so they will win the covered calls, the short calls. They might actually win on some puts, like this one. They probably will win, yeah. Okay, so that's nice. No, strike 310. I'm sorry, bro. Strike 310. Yeah, they probably will lose it. Maybe not. It's for next week. But anyway, their strategy is like all over the place. It's very hard to track them. Like they'll lose their shirt. Not lose their shirt. I shouldn't like on Circle. Circle is right now about $150, I think. So this price is definitely from Friday. This week it ran up to $160. Today it kind of went down. I need to make sure that like this database is up to date. But anyway, these numbers are for last week, this estimate. So the trades from this week do not even matter for this payout. But basically, they didn't make any money this cycle, and they've been paying about 10 cents, 9.5 cents. So, and that's what ALGO comes up with. Now, ALGO uses different metrics. It uses the IV, it uses the income, it uses the synthetic, but there's basically no synthetic. They don't have any put call synthetic positions. They just have shares. They sell calls, they buy puts. I think that's their strategy. Anyway, the number of shares is growing. I think we can, maybe because the number of shares has gone up like almost 15% in the last few days, in the last week, maybe they'll pay like 9 cents. So I think IV estimate is quite accurate. All right, so ULTY is crazy. We'll analyze it deeper in the next video. Let's move on to SDTY. So 0 days to expiration on SPY. So SPY IV is kind of low, and we made 20 cents this cycle. That's good for 1 week. That's not bad. Let's see what the estimate is. Okay, so the estimate says 15 to 23 cents. It's wide because their dividends kind of like have been going down, and but last time they paid almost 22 cents. So yeah, I kind of tend to agree with this estimate. The IV estimate is only 13 cents. So since they made money, they can pay out more. And I think it's a nice yield, much better than the actual IV of SPY. All right, bro, let's move on. QDTY, so that's 0DT on NASDAQ QQQ ETF, and we made 23 cents per share in this cycle. Now this fund, it's very small, 200,000 shares. I don't remember what the other one was, but also not big. Let's see the estimate. Okay, 17 to 26.5, and they paid 23 cents last time. So yeah, they will pay about like 23, 24 cents, I think. Maybe they'll probably pay whatever they made. You know, so the Q's IV is slightly higher than SPY. That's good. Let's look at their dividends, and that's been going down. Also 23 here, they paid 31 and 32.5. Now, if you click over here, this will actually show you all the dividends. The reason why tracker shows fewer dividends, so yeah, you can see all the dividends here and the share price. The tracker, we're not collecting info on DTYs, and so the database is growing, and so this will increase as time goes on, but this is what we have in the database so far. We have their trade. Well, they don't really do trades. They just yeah, no, they do. Okay, we have their trades, but not, we didn't have their holdings until mid of April or May. Anyway, let's move on. RDTY, let's see what they're paying. They made 33 cents. Wow, bro, that's nice. And the last dividend was 30 cents. So let's see the estimate. 23 through 36. Yeah, I think they'll pay about 31 cents. Nice IV, better than SPY and Qs. Again, same story. Wow, we have 4 dividends. And this fund is not growing, just 100,000 shares. It's a small fund. They only made $32,000 in the cycle. Wow, but I think it will grow in popularity. It's quite stable. It's not bad. Let's see what the overall return on this is. Yeah, not so good. Okay, we gotta get rid of this stuff, but still, look at that. They're down with no drip and up only 0.6%. With drip, they paid a lot of dividends so far, but that's been going down the last few weeks. It is what it is. Yeah, so let's move on. Next one is LFG. Let's effing go, bro. Lost 85 cents. Wow, that's not good. And this fund is actually pretty big relative to DTY's 3.5 million shares. Let's see the dividend estimate. Because they lost money, the dividend estimate is much closer to the IV. Again, blended IV for all the funds they hold and all the stocks they hold. Coinbase, CleanSpark, PTD, I don't even know what that is. A lot of holdings. So by the way, bro, I added this yellow line in the holdings. That's long call or a lottery call. So if, for example, CleanSpark is $10.5 or above $10.5 by this Friday, they will make money. Right now, CleanSpark is closer to 9, so that's going to be a wash. this makes more sense for, like, say, nvdy. Nvdy has some long calls also. I don't know if they'll hit. We have only 3 days left. One of them is not trading, Juneteenth. So yeah, I don't think we'll hit $150 on nvidia, and so probably this will also be a loss, but at least they didn't pay a lot of money for them. Okay, yeah, let's move on back to LFGY. So again, their blended IV, or combined IV of all these holdings is 63%. That's not bad. And they'll pay probably around 50 cents. Let's see their rolling P&Ls. So last cycle, they lost 51 cents right here, and they paid 47. Yeah, so this is same thing with the ULTY. So the price of LFGY is going down, the NAV erosion. So yeah, they're paying nice dividend, you know, about 70% yield, 63% yield, but yeah, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Not telling you to buy this one. I do not have it. Okay, CHPY is their fund that basically trades semis, so nvidia, AMD, all that kind of stuff. You can see right here the holdings. Yeah, SML, AVGO, Intel, Marvel, Micron, Nvidia, On Semiconductor, NXPI, Qualcomm, TSM. That's Taiwan Semi, Texas Instrument. Well, I actually don't like Texas Instrument stock. I think it's junk, but whatever. That's a different story. Anyway, they lost 47 cents last week, and in the previous week they paid basically 35 cents dividend. Let's see what the estimate is. 41 through 57 cents. I would say it's closer to 40 that they're gonna pay. So mostly this is IV because they lost money. Let's see the interesting. So the previous cycle they made 1 cent and they paid 35. It's pretty bad. This is horrible. And somehow the price of the share is actually above the price where it the inception. So these newer funds, they all start trading around $50, or yeah, at 50. And so okay, there's no NAV erosion. That's good. And finally, GPTY, so the AI fund. Let's see how they did. They lost 1 cent, and last time they paid 30 cents. Okay, bro, let's look at the estimate. 33 through 47.5 cents. Again, because they lost money, we're basically going close to IV. And I would say they'll pay about 30, 35 cents. So this estimate is right on the mark. And rolling P&L, wow, bro. They've been losing money, and yet they're making payments. Look at that. About 29 cents. Yeah. Even with the losses. They lost year to date. Well, not year to date. Okay, this is since we started keeping track of them. So yeah, 50 cents since May 23rd. As time goes on, our database will get bigger, and these numbers, like, we'll have more data on them, but it is what it is. So yeah, about 35 cents they'll pay this cycle, but they did lose 1 cent per share. And look at that. Fund is, wow, they added like 20% over here. Then it kind of dropped a little bit, but it's growing. It's growing. That's nice. All right, bro. So that concludes the weeklies. Again, finally it works. Last week I made a video, and then, like, as I get to ULTY, it shows all zeros over here. So I spent like the whole week trying to get this to work. And this whole YieldMax tracker, it's almost out of beta. I fixed most of the known issues. So far I only have FIVE and Fiat. I still don't have the correct estimate on them. It's using weekly estimate for some reason, like multiplier. So I gotta fix that, but that will get fixed today. By the time you get to play with it, it will be fine. And then Soxy, the target 12. Soxy is not even in the database of most data providers. Like, I don't have pricing data on Soxy. It's completely insane. So that will take a little bit of time. I need to do some background work to add this fund. And what else is Renty? So Renty I also kind of forced into the database, but need to work on that. But those target 12, they're so small, nobody really cares about them. Let's take a look. Yeah, 50,000 shares. Like, they made $8,000 in a cycle, and they go by month. They are monthly, basically. They go 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. They alternate, but technically speaking, they have 12 payout cycles. And so the estimate on this is probably still broken. Yeah, 0, 0. That's what, bro, this is exactly what I had last week with all the weeklies. I started doing the video, and then as I get to ULTY, I get all zeros. So I spent this whole week fixing it. And yeah, bro, smash the like button just to show me that my hard work people like that and enjoy it, and it's useful. All right. So just quick circle back to Platy and NVIDIA or NVDY. So what we had a couple of weeks ago with msty is they added about 15% new shares within 3 days to the declaration, and that basically I think reduced their dividend significantly. Let's take a quick look at msty. I'll show you what I mean. So I did an estimate video, like I believe on a Friday or on a Sunday, but since over the weekend nothing changes, you know, I was basing my estimate on 192 million shares over here. So this was from the previous Friday, and then look how it jumped, boom. So on the dividend date, they had 224 million shares. Okay, and so that basically dilutes the current dividend payment. And I was kind of worried that's what's going to happen to NVDY, but so far the NVDY share count is barely, it's actually flat. It's not moving. So that means that our estimate is kind of still intact. I still think they will pay like 85 cents just because they had almost $2 loss year to date. But this is what ALGO says, 97 through $1.31. Okay, and then Platy is actually growing. So you can see I already have this open, and their share count is going up slightly. But I made the video over here on Friday. When is the Friday? Like over here, 8.9 million shares, and now it's 9.2 or 9.1. That's not a huge growth, but still, you know, that's more shares to share, more shareholders to divide a pie between, and so it had a small effect, like minuscule effect on the dividend estimate. So I still would say about $4 what they're going to pay. Yeah, yesterday, bro, Palantir was 140, 44, $45, maybe even 46 at some point. This stock is completely crazy. Today, because of the war, because Israel was bombing Iran, the Palantir for some reason, and like the market as a whole was dropping today. So it's back to 140. And when I was making my prediction video on Sunday, Palantir basically closed on Friday. Not closed, they had an all-time high at 140, and they dropped today back to their previous all-time high. Pretty amazing. Okay, bro. So thanks for watching. Again, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Here is the discount code, but also it's in the description below if you want to try this YieldMax tracker. Next week we are having, so that will be in tomorrow, basically. We will have on deck Cony, Hui, Nefli, CVNY, that's Carvana, PP, AMD, MSFO, Abney. Actually, I like most of these funds. I like Group C. I mean, of course, Group D is the GOAT, msty. But yeah, Group C, that's coming up next. So, bro, make sure you click that bell icon notification to get the estimate for Group C, and of course for msty. I'm gonna start making some preliminary numbers as we get towards the end of Group C. Okay, thanks for watching, bro. I'll see you in the next video. It will be about ULTY, and then I'm gonna make a separate video just kind of explaining to people what all these metrics mean when I say current P&L per share, synthetic, because some people have been asking me like, what the hell does it even mean? I'm gonna explain all these reports and all of that good stuff. That's coming up, so I'll see you later.